How to differentiate good cat food from bad cat food in just a few seconds. To answer this question, stop looking at the brand, or the advertisements, or the picture on the can or packet. Instead, you need to turn it around and look at the other side. The best way to gauge which type of cat food is right for your kitty is to look at the label. You can even do this with your cat's food right now and see if it is actually good for your cat or if it needs to be thrown away as soon as possible. Before we dive in, why not subscribe and join our feline loving community for more information on how to care for your cat. Check the first ingredient. The first ingredient on the label is usually the one that makes up the main part of the contents. Cats are obligate carnivores, meaning that their diet should consist almost entirely of meat. Domestic cats will occasionally nibble on grass to gain nutrients that in the wild they would get from the undigested vegetation left in the stomachs of their herbivorous prey. A lot of cheap cat foods, however, would like you to believe that your cat is also herbivorous and like a cow or sheep can live mainly off corn. The first ingredient on your cat food label should always be some kind of protein, specifically meat or fish. The reason corn and other carbohydrates will sometimes appear instead is because they're cheaper than meat and so can be used to bulk out the cat food for cheap. It may have been a bargain, but you should throw the whole can away. Check the analytical constituents. Huh? It might sound like this video has suddenly got overly technical, but in truth, the analytical constituents are just a fancy way of describing the text on the back of the packet that tells you the percentages of protein, salt, etc. in your cat food. It's a legal requirement to ensure that you know what you're buying. Here are a few tips on what to look for. We've already mentioned that protein should be a high ingredient, but you'll also want to check the level of phosphorus. This chemical is responsible for bone and teeth growth, energy storage, and muscle development. Without it, your kitty could become weak and lethargic, and may even develop bone disorders. One can have too much of a good thing, however. The amount of phosphorus should never be higher than the amount of calcium, which is also important for your cat's bones and teeth, as an imbalance of the two can lead to kidney failure. For adult cats, the percentage of phosphorus should be 1% or lower, while the percentage of calcium should be no more than 1.2%. For kittens who are still actively growing, the percentage of calcium can rise to 1.5%, but the percentage of phosphorus should not change. Check for taurine. Taurine is a vitally important part of your cat's diet, responsible for their vision, heart health, and immune system. As you can imagine, a taurine deficiency can be extremely bad news for your kitty. In the wild, your cat would get taurine from their natural meaty diet. The process of turning meat into cat food, however, can inadvertently destroy a lot of the taurine. As such, good cat food should always have added taurine listed among the ingredients. If it doesn't, it simply isn't providing enough nutrients to keep your cat healthy. Lose the sugar. We all like a sugary treat once in a while, but it's not at all healthy for our cats. Cats aren't designed to eat high quantities of sugar. They don't even have the ability to taste sweetness. If your cat's food lists added sugar as an ingredient, then you should probably start looking for a different brand. Your cat's diet has no space for sugar, and it won't even taste particularly good on their tongue. It will only make them overweight and cause them health problems. Throw it away. Don't go for premium. Premium cat food might seem like a good idea. It may be a tad more expensive, but doesn't your fur baby deserve the best you can give them? Yes, of course, we're not going to argue that you should heap cheaping out on your kitty's diet. We're going to be arguing against the idea that premium food actually is the best. Premium, when it comes to cat food, often just means more expensive. Many premium cat foods will use the same basic ingredients as the cheaper, non-premium version. Worse, in cases where they do use different ingredients, the difference is often that the new ingredients are more digestible or have more fat. In some cases, especially if your cat is used to the cheaper food, this kind of change to their diet can actually make them sick. You should check with your vet before introducing any major change to your fur baby's diet. Check the weight. You know the feeling of buying a nice big bag of chips, opening it up once you leave the store, and then immediately being greeted by half a bag of chips and half a bag of air? Manufacturers do this because they know that you're more likely to buy the bigger bag, but they don't want the expense of filling it all the way to the top. This is why you should always check the weight when buying packaged food, including cat food. If you're torn between two brands and are unsure which is the better value, then the trick is to divide the weight by the price. This will tell you roughly how much you're paying per ounce or gram, and will give you a much better idea of how to get more bang for your buck. Consult your cat. Unfortunately for cat parents, cats can often be very particular about what they eat. The question is your kitty a connoisseur or a creature of habit? Connoisseurs like to have a bit of an adventurous diet. They want to grace their palate with different flavors and different textures, and will get fussy if they're given the same thing too many days in a row. For these cats, you should try to rotate their food so as to give them the variety that they crave. Creatures of habit, on the other hand, have one favorite food and they stick to it. Like your 6-year-old cousin who only eats chicken nuggets. They will turn their nose up at anything that isn't their favorite brand, which is a problem when that particular flavor gets discontinued or the store runs out. These cats aren't entirely unable to tolerate new foods, however. The trick is to photograph the ingredients list on the back of your kitty's favorite food, or keep one of the empty cans in the back of a cupboard. That way, if the food becomes no longer available, you'll still have a record of the ingredients that you can use to try and find a new brand that will taste as similar as possible. Check that the food is actually meant for cats. This probably seems obvious, but it's an important thing to check. Cats have very specific nutritional needs, and so they need very specific cat food. While you're at it, you should also check that it's food that is meant for your cat's age group. Cat food is often marketed for specific age groups. Food for kittens may look the same as adult cat food, but don't grab it for your grown-up kitty, even if it's the last can on the shelf. Kitten food contains a lot of extra calories to keep up with that baby cat energy. Once cats grow up, they tend to become less active, no matter how often your own kitty gets the zoomies, and so that fatty kitten food can cause them serious health problems. For more advice on how to help your kitty feel more comfortable, check out this video on how to make sure you're petting your cat the right way.